So there is still a bit of contention about what a startup is, whether or not it's a company that is fully in tech or that leverages tech. There is also the question about the age of the company. There are people who argue that a startup is any business that is 7 years and below. There are also those who hold the thought that a startup is as per market value, market valuation. Who is right and who is wrong? Neither of you is right, neither of you is wrong. But that's why we are here. We want to talk about startup readiness for investor funding. My name is Brian George, and this is TECHOVER, the show that discusses all things technology on NTV. Today I have just the man for that, Mr. Sandeep, CPA Sandeep Main, will be speaking to us about startup readiness for funding ahead of an event that you need to know about as a founder. But first off, as always, the tech news of the week. This week we focus on the OpenAI feud with Scarlett Johansson. So Hollywood actress is feuding with OpenAI over copyright infringement. The Hollywood star said she was shocked, angered and in disbelief that the updated version of ChatGPT, which can listen to spoken prompts and respond verbally, had a voice nearly similar to hers. One of Johansson's signature roles was on the voice of futuristic version of Siri in 2013 film Her, and for the actor, the similarity was stark. The OpenAI chief executive, Sam Altman, appeared to acknowledge the film's influence with a one-word post on X, formerly Twitter, on the day of the launch, Her. In a statement, Johansson said Altman had approached her last year to be a voice of ChatGPT and that she had declined for personal reasons. OpenAI confirmed this in a blog post, but said that she had been approached to be an extra voice for ChatGPT after 5 had already been chosen, including the voice that had alarmed Johansson. She was approached again days before the 13th May launch. OpenAI added about becoming a futuristic additional voice. OpenAI wrote that AI voices should not be deliberately mimicking a celebrity's distinctive voice, and the voice in question used by the new GPT-4o model, Sky, was not an imitation of Scarlett Johansson's, but belongs to a different professional actress using her own natural speaking voice. The relationship between AI and the creative industries is already strained, with authors, artists and music publishers bringing lawsuits over copyright infringement, but for some campaigners, the furor is emblematic of tensions between wider society and a technology whose advances could leave politicians, regulators and industries trailing in its wake. However, there are sources that intimate that OpenAI did not copy Scarlett's voice. Altman has made it clear that he admires Johansson's work. He said that Her, which features Johansson as an AI voice assistant, is his favorite film. After the ChatGPT event, he posted the word Her, seemingly in reference to the voice demo the company presented, which featured an assistant that sounded like Johansson. Now, legal experts say Johansson may have a powerful and credible claim in court if she does decide to sue, pointing to a long string of past cases that could lead to significant damages for one of the world's leading AI companies and raise questions about the industry's readiness to deal with AI's many messy complications. That OpenAI was apparently unaware of that legal history, or at worst willfully ignorant of it, highlights what some critics say is lack of industry oversight in AI and a need for greater protections for creators. Very well, now you're up to speed with what's been happening in the tech world. Time now for that discussion with Mr. Sandeep. CPA Sandeep, good to see you. Thank you so much for making time for us on NTV TECHOVER. Founders are always caught up in the euphoria of company X has raised this much funding. Is it normally that easy to raise capital?
I think that's a very good question. So we do hear that a lot, that company X has raised this much across Africa. But the effort and the energy that these founders have taken in terms of raising that capital, it can take between 2 to 3 years. For several pitching sessions, they have to meet different investors. And I think they have to also find the right fit from an investor perspective. Sure. Just whichever sector they're in, they would want to then try and get that particular investor to then scale up their business. So it's not easy. It does take a lot of time. But yes, I mean, if I've taken 3 years to get to a round of funding, someone else has taken maybe another 4 years to get to where I am. So it's not easy, but yes, it does happen. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort.
Staying with the question on raising funds, many founders think that raising is actually a reflection of how sound and healthy their business is. How true is that statement?
I mean, look, it does have a sort of an interplay. An investor would always do some level of due diligence on your business before they put in their money or put in money that they have crowdfunded out there into your business. So there is an element that, yes, this business is sustainable, but I think of importance is that before an investor puts in money, they've already sense checked whether your business is sustainable into the future, whether you have some element of governance structures, some element of compliance. So yes, it could be interlinked to soundness of a business, but of course the flip side is that it could be there during the capital raising, and then eventually, maybe one or two things might not work out for the business.
Then in that case, how many stages are there in the startup founder's journey in raising funds?
I think it really depends. So you can start with an idea. So that's called the pre-seed stage. So, entrepreneurs who have an idea, they would come in and make different pitches. So they don't have a company, they don't have a prototype. And then you get to the seed stage where now they actually have some sort of a prototype working, some sort of product working. They have a company, and then they now have something to show for. So that's a different stage. And then now you move to a Series A, which is the larger deal size, and then B, C, and beyond. So those stages could be anywhere between $500,000 all the way to $1 million, $2 million, and sometimes even $20 million. So different stages depending on where your business is.
So last year we saw African startups shed a bit of funding. What occasioned this?
I think globally there was a sort of a recession, and then even the confidence that we had from African startups as well. Would I want to put my money where the tax laws are changing every so often? And compliance is a major driver of a success or failure of a business, especially in today's time and age. We can see across maybe even the East African region, we had a number of changes in tax laws, and that also drives the businesses either downwards or perhaps they can then stay steady. I think the other major factor was really the currency devaluation, and that was across Africa, where we lost a lot against the primary currency that we trade in, which is the USD. So that again had a major impact. So while I think I'm receiving X amount, but that has depreciated because of the currency depreciations that took place across the continent.
Staying with African startups, the culture around investment in startups in Africa is very interesting, and larger sub-Sahara region. And let me explain. So if I have an uncle right now, or an aunt or a cousin, they would rather go invest in land than listening to my idea of I have a fintech which needs funding, and they can come in as angel investors. How do we shift this culture and transfer it to a more easy environment for even my relatives, my cousins, my friends investing easily in my startup?
I think it's to what you had initially mentioned, safety. I can see the land, I have a title deed. I know the land is here, I can go visit the land. I can take a walk around my property. That tangibility is very critical. When you come and you say you are starting a new business venture, so I think for me and what I've seen, because I deal a lot with family businesses and startups, it's about education, it's about building trust, it's about building credibility. So those three are really critical in the family saying, here is X amount to put into your business. And then again, the governance structures, you have to be clear. Even though you're my uncle or my dad or my relative, it's very important for you to have a written agreement on how you're actually going to, sort of give them a return. It's all about a return. The land I buy today, possibly in 2-3 years' time, I'll be able to get a better value for my land. What am I getting from you? That is the question.
In that case, what is the most crucial component for investor readiness in a startup?
So, a business life cycle, it's a journey.
Yeah.
I don't expect you to, when you set up a company, to immediately have a board of 10 people. No. I think when you start up a company, it's easy as a single owner first, or two founders coming together to first make decisions, because the speed to market as a startup is very critical. Yeah. So as you then progress, maybe in your second or third year, you need to start thinking about governance structures. Yeah. Which one of us is going to sign off, checks, for example, which one of us is going to make payments, and essentially sustainability operations, sustainability of the business. So while I'm in my second or third year, is my business sustainable into the future? Okay, is my product or the service that I'm going to be offering to the market still be relevant in that time in the future? And then I think the most important thing would then be, obviously, how do you attract that investment? The investment will come if you have now the right governance structures, you're compliant to the level. You can never be 100%, but you must be at least as compliant as possible. And then you have proper records. I think that is where a lot of founders don't really focus on. Founders are really good in knowing the future of the business. I know how to make money, but do I have that documented? Do I have proper contracts with my suppliers internally between even just the co-founders or with the family that has funded me? So I think all that is very important as you become investor ready.
Lastly, the KPMG Private Enterprise Africa Venture Summit is coming up on the 10th of June. What should we expect?
We're expecting investors from across Africa, and these would be investors in the different life cycle. It could be incubators, accelerators, VCs, and private equity funds. It could even be angel investors. And then we expect a lot of investee companies, and these are the tech startups. It could be family businesses, SMEs, who are coming. The basis of this event is really networking. That is the bottom line, but or and above that, you're going to have a lot of learnings. We're going to be talking about the different tax structures. How do you do the deal origination? What we just talked about. Am I investor ready as a business? How do I exit? And then again, what are investors looking at? So we're going to have a session of reverse pitching, where investors are going to talk to the 300 plus delegates that we're expecting to tell them what they want to see out of a business for them to then be investor ready. So very exciting. Excited about it, and I look forward.
Thank you so much, CPS and Deep, for speaking to us on this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That has been CPS and Deep from KPMG speaking to us about startup readiness for funding. And I hope you have gotten one or two nuggets that could help your startup become investor ready. This is part one of Takeover. We take a short break. We'll be back with more. Don't go too far. Welcome back. You're watching Takeover, the show that discusses all things technology. Time now for our startup of the week. Peter, good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
So you sit back one time, you see a lot of influencers online, and you're like, we could make a community out of this and channel jobs to them. What was the inspiration that made you come up with TECHOVER?
I was studying, living and working in Canada.
Okay.
And I had started my first influencer marketing company in that, within that market.
Okay.
Then there was inspiration around my scholarship, which is MasterCard Foundation, a scholarship which always encouraged you to consider going back to your home country to create jobs, and that's why they were taking you to study abroad.
Okay.
So that was the first inspiration. But also I could see trends within our market that this is going to be impactful. This idea of leapfrogging and of also decentralizing and democratizing access to market through influencer marketing, or you could argue through digital platforms. But also we knew that we had enough of influencers to start to test this. So transitioned back into the country around 2019 to just test the idea with influencers. And then we realized that they found this to be a tool to monetize and to earn meaningfully. So we went ahead and started to develop the technology to scale this and to serve more influencers.
You already mentioned when you started, but how was the journey like? You're telling people that you could get jobs out of this. This is some sort of a gig work platform. How are you convincing brands and influencers at the same time to come? And remember, this is a startup, so you're doing some sort of bootstrapping.
Yeah.
How was that journey like?
So for the Kenyan one, TECHOVER,
Yeah.
it was easy in the sense that we had case studies of what we had done in a different market. Of course, there are nuances and you needed to prove that it could work here. So you are starting with just numbers, data, which is what's the penetration of internet, social media, smart devices, because that's where people are consuming social media. And then just looking at who are the communicators within that ecosystem of social media. And then for the most part is, learning tests. And this is, let's execute for 1 week and see the value that we can create for you. So once brands see the value in terms of brand awareness and conversions, then it becomes easier to go to the next brand. So heavily driven by case studies after.
Interesting. In under a minute, how does TECHOVER work?
TECHOVER, we are an influencer-driven social commerce platform that helps brands to gain access to market. And we do that by enabling them to market and to sell through the influencer. So brands just need to list their products and services, and we push that through influencers.
Now let's handle it from the influencer side. How do they sign up and how do they get gigs now?
Yeah. So there are two things or two ways that our influencers can earn on our platform. You earn by being hired by brands to promote them, to raise awareness around their product and services, or by reselling their products. So once an influencer signs up, they will have to wait for brands to discover them, to hire them to promote their brands, but they can start immediately to resell the goods and services that are on our platform and earn commission out of that. So they just need to sign up, and then they would see the list of products and services that they can sell, and they start to earn immediately.
Is there like a threshold for who would make it to be an influencer and who would not?
That's a good question. How we look at it is not about number, in terms of the number of followers. And in this digital age, it's even difficult to even know, do you have bots or do you have followers? What we like to understand is what is influence before we understand who is the custodian at that particular time, who has the influence, and that becomes an influencer. So that has evolved in the sense that you are quite influential even within your circle of influence or your circle of friends. I am influential to my siblings, so I'm an influencer within my family setup. If you're on a WhatsApp group and you're the group admin and you convene these people to join that group, you become the influencer. So it's no longer the number of followers all the way to the number of engagement. Well, these are important metrics to judge and to measure the impact that you're likely to get. We don't just follow the number. And that's why we classify them from the small ones, the nano, the micro, all the way to the mega, the celebrity influencers. But they all have a value. It is the value that differs between, do you want sales conversion or do you want brand awareness? Okay,
great. Thank you for speaking to the return on investment, which was perhaps my next question. But I must say, you're going to give us a lot of problem with WhatsApp admins. When you now say they're also influencers, surely those people wield a lot of power. But anyway, lastly, you have done successfully about 5 or so years now doing this formally. I know it's not been an easy journey. There's a young man out there watching you right now and he's inspired by what you do. What do you tell them? They want to get into innovation.
Start small, fail fast, but fail forward.
Good, great. So failure is inevitable.
Yes.
That's brutal, man.
You'll fail, but the number of failures is what will give that one success that you're looking for.
Great. Thank you so much, Peter, for speaking to us on Startup of the Week. We have been speaking to Peter Kironji, who is the founder of TECHOVER, and he's our founder of the week. Very well, that's another Kenyan founder doing amazing stuff in the Kenyan market. Let's now close the tech tip of the week and then we'll just end the show at that point.
Hi guys, and welcome to this week's tech tip of the week. Today I'll show you a simple tip that you can use on your computer. There are many times that you have wanted to capture something specific on your computer screen. So if you go to your computer and hold the Windows Shift plus S key, you'll be able to capture anywhere you want on the screen. So just highlight the area you want to capture and then release it. Once you've done so, at the bottom the image will appear, so just click on it. You can edit it however you want, and then once you're done, click on this icon to save it, and then you can save it to any folder. I hope that was helpful. That's it for this week, and see you in the next one.
Very well. Hope you're tech savvy and more easing out into technology. I hope the show gave you the necessary nuggets for you being investor ready as a founder, and we hope that you're going to employ some of those. Thank you so much for making time for us on TECHOVER. We really appreciate it. See you again next week on this same show, same time on NTV. My name is Brian George Otieno, NTV's in-house techie. May tech live forever.